Have you ever wondered why some people seem to stay sharp, calm and full of life, even well into their 80s and 90s? It's not just luck or genetics. The truth is, the secret to living longer may not be in what you do, but in what you stop doing. As we get older, many of us start to feel tired more often, forget small things, or lose the energy we once had. But what if part of that decline is caused by everyday habits we've been carrying for years, without even realizing they're quietly wearing us down? In this video, we'll uncover 10 small but powerful habits that doctors and longevity experts say we should do less of if we want to live longer, feel lighter, and enjoy more peaceful years ahead. You're not alone in this. Many older adults are starting to unlearn what no longer serves them. If this resonates with you, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's begin. Habit 1. Social isolation. You may not even notice it happening. One day, your house feels calm. A few weeks later, it feels quiet. Then, without warning, it starts to feel empty. This shift can happen so gently that you almost convince yourself it's just peace. But often, what begins as solitude slowly turns into social isolation, and it touches more seniors than we'd like to admit. After retirement, when the routines fade and the children grow up, when friends move or pass away, many older adults start to slip into a life with fewer conversations, fewer visits, and fewer reasons to reach out. And yet, the body and brain do not stop needing connection. Studies now show that prolonged loneliness increases the risk of heart disease, depression, memory loss, and even early death, equal in damage to smoking or obesity. Social withdrawal may feel emotionally safe at first, especially after loss or disappointment, but over time it dulls joy, weakens mental clarity, and leaves the heart feeling heavier than it should. Many people begin to realize this, not because someone told them, but because they start feeling slower, sadder, and more tired without understanding why. It's not just the passing of time, it's the weight of silent days. Yet something begins to shift when you stop accepting this isolation as your new normal. You begin to sense that even one genuine conversation can lift the fog. That hearing, your name spoken by someone who cares, can reawaken something in you that had gone quiet. It's not about being busy or surrounded, it's about being seen. And it doesn't require anything extreme. One phone call each week, a shared coffee on a front porch, a handwritten note to a friend you haven't spoken to in years. These small acts are not interruptions, they are lifelines. When we reach out, we also return to ourselves. You don't need a crowd to feel alive again. You just need presence. Yours and someone else's. This is how we live longer, not by pushing harder, but by letting others walk beside us again. And maybe today that simple step begins with you. You could be the person who breaks your own silence, or better yet, the reason someone else breaks theirs. Habit 2. Prolonged sitting. You might not even think twice about it. The morning starts with coffee on the couch, then reading by the window, a few hours watching TV, a quiet lunch, maybe a nap. Before you know it, the whole day has passed with barely a reason to stand. This kind of stillness, while it feels gentle and harmless, slowly becomes the most overlooked threat to your well-being. After 60, the body craves movement more than ever. Not intensity, but frequency. When we sit for hours without change, circulation slows, muscles weaken, joints stiffen, and inflammation quietly builds up. Over time, this stillness contributes to heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure spikes, and even cognitive decline. It's not about one day, it's the quiet accumulation over months and years. Many older adults only realize the cost of prolonged sitting after their first fall. Suddenly the body feels unfamiliar, less responsive, and slower to react. But the truth is, the body hasn't failed, it's simply been unused. That's when the shift begins. Not with fear, but with awareness. You begin to sense that the body wants to move, not to prove anything, but to stay alive, to stay alert. You realize that motion doesn't have to mean exercise. It can mean intention. Standing during a commercial break, stretching while waiting for the kettle, walking slowly while talking on the phone. These moments, though small, start to stitch vitality back into your routine. They bring warmth to your limbs and oxygen to your brain. They remind your body that it still matters. This is not about doing more. It's about doing less sitting, less stillness that numbs, more presence in motion. You don't have to run laps or lift weights. You simply have to keep flowing with life, one gentle step at a time. The longest living. People don't force movement. They weave it into daily rituals, watering plants, walking to the mailbox, reaching high to grab a glass. Each motion says, I'm still here, I still care for this body. So maybe today you let your legs carry you a little more than yesterday, not because you have to, but because they still can. And that quiet, willingness to rise even for a minute might be the very thing that keeps you steady for years to come. Habit 3. Ignoring sleep signals. Walter used to stay up past midnight every night, not because he had something important to do, but because silence felt like the only company left. He would sit under the dim glow of the kitchen light, flipping through channels, sipping tea long gone cold. He told himself he wasn't tired, but by morning, his body would protest. His thoughts were slower, his steps were unsteady, and deep inside he felt a heaviness that had nothing to do with age. You might not think skipping sleep matters, especially if you've retired and no longer have a strict schedule, but the body still runs on rhythm. Ignoring sleep signals doesn't just make you feel tired, it quietly unravels your health. Sleep is when the brain flushes out toxins, when your immune system strengthens, and when your heart rate finds its calm. Without enough of it, memory begins to fade, inflammation builds, blood pressure rises, and the simple joy of feeling clear and light in the morning disappears. Many people in their 60s begin to understand that it's not about needing less sleep, it's about giving yourself fewer chances to receive it. And that awareness marks a quiet turning point. It's not that life gets easier, but that you decide your well-being matters more than one extra hour of television, more than one more scroll through your phone. You begin to notice that rest is not weakness, it's wisdom. Small changes can help you return to that natural rhythm your body has been calling for. Lower the lights earlier, create a bedtime that feels like a promise rather than a punishment. Step away from screens, listen when your body says, enough for today. Say a warm shower, a soft chair, a quiet room. These are not luxuries, they are invitations, and when you accept them, the reward isn't just better sleep. It's a better morning, clearer thoughts, a calmer heart. Older adults who live with vitality often treat rest as sacred. They know that energy isn't created by effort alone. It's preserved by peace. You don't need to do more to feel better. Sometimes you only need to stop ignoring the signals your body has whispered for years. Let yourself sleep. Let yourself heal. Because when the nights soften, the days become stronger. Habit 4. Constant worrying. You might not even notice how often it happens. A passing thought about your health, a moment of doubt about whether you locked the door, a slight worry about something your daughter said on the phone. It begins as something small, then grows into something that lingers. You don't mean to overthink, but slowly your mind starts circling the same what-ifs. You wake up at night thinking about things you can't control. You hold tension in your shoulders without realizing it. You might not call it anxiety. You might just say, I'm someone who cares too much. But the truth is, this habit of constant worry settles deep into the body. It disrupts sleep, raises blood pressure, and weakens your immune system. Over time, it makes your heart race more often. It shortens your breath. It keeps your mind spinning when it should be resting. And it's not just emotional. Studies show chronic stress accelerates cellular aging by shortening telomeres, those little protective caps on your DNA. Judith, 72, once told me she didn't think of herself as anxious. She just wanted everything to go smoothly for her family. But she started noticing her digestion was off, her sleep was broken, and her thoughts felt heavier. It wasn't until her doctor asked her one simple question, do you ever let yourself do nothing, that something shifted. She realized she was always trying to fix what wasn't hers to fix, not because the world asked her to, but because she forgot she could choose peace. After 60, many people begin to understand that peace is not passive, it's protective. You start to notice the value of stillness. You begin to ask gently, is this thought mine to carry, or will this matter next week? Letting go isn't the same as giving up. It's trusting that your body deserves to rest inside too. You can start small. Take a quiet breath when you notice your chest tighten. Take a moment to pause instead of react. A decision to write it down, then walk away. These are not acts of denial, they are acts of wisdom. People who age with grace often say the same thing. They stopped trying to control everything. They focused on what they could touch. They let go of what drained them. Because in the end, living longer isn't just about moving forward, it's about learning when to gently set something down. Habit 5. Overusing alcohol or medication. You may not notice it at first. A glass of wine after dinner, a small pill to help with sleep, a little something to take the edge off when the evenings feel long and your thoughts feel heavy. It seems harmless, even reasonable. You've earned a little comfort, haven't you? And yet, this habit settles in more easily than we realize. You might not see it as overuse, but your body, with its slower metabolism and heightened sensitivity, begins to feel the burden. Arthur, 69, never thought twice about his nightcap. It helped him unwind, he said, but over time he noticed his mornings were foggier, his balance felt off. His memory, once sharp, began to slip. His doctor gently explained what was happening. As we age, even small doses can have outsized effects. Alcohol and sedatives may ease discomfort in the short term, but long term they cloud the mind, weaken coordination, and increase the risk of falls, confusion, and liver strain. It's not just about what we take, it's about what we start to lose in return. Alertness, stability, self-trust. That realization often comes gradually, not because something dramatic happens, but because you begin to feel disconnected from yourself. The clarity you once had seems further away, and then you ask the quiet question, is this habit still helping me, or is it quietly stealing from me? That question is the beginning of a shift not out of guilt, but out of care. You don't have to quit everything at once. You simply start noticing, do I really need this tonight? What would happen if I tried something gentler? Warm herbal tea, a short evening walk, soft music, a breathing ritual before bed. These aren't replacements, they are returns. Returns to the body's natural rhythm, to your own internal calm. People who age gracefully often speak of choosing less, not more. Less numbing, more presence, less automatic relief, more conscious care. They don't reach for control, they reach for balance, and the change doesn't come from a warning, it comes from wisdom. The kind of wisdom that whispers, you can feel better without fogging who you are. Because in the end, the years ahead matter most when you can truly feel them. So perhaps today you choose one night without the crutch, not to prove anything, just to remember what it feels like to rest on your own terms. Habit 6. Eating late at night. You may not notice it at first. A small snack before bed. A second. Helping during a late dinner. A sweet bite while watching TV to end the day. You might even believe it helps you sleep. But this happens more often than we think. It feels like comfort, but slowly becomes a pattern. A quiet habit that asks your body to work when it should be resting. Thomas, 74, told me he used to eat a bowl of cereal or a sandwich around 10 p.m. He said it helped him fall asleep faster. But each morning he felt bloated, sluggish, and oddly restless. His doctor explained something simple. After sunset, our digestion slows. The body shifts into recovery mode, and when we eat late, especially heavy or sugary foods, we delay that. Healing. The stomach stays active, the liver works harder, and the blood sugar rises when it should settle. Studies now show that late-night eating affects more than sleep. It weakens metabolism, increases belly fat, and raises the risk of acid reflux, weight gain, and even heart disease. The discomfort builds quietly, and one day, you begin to wonder why your mornings feel heavy. That question opens a door. Aging doesn't mean you have to feel tired all the time. It means becoming aware of what your body is asking for. And what it often needs most, especially at night, is space to restore. After 60, many people start realizing that food is more than nutrition. It's rhythm, it's timing, it's respect. You don't need to give up your favorite meals. You only need to shift them gently. Eat your dinner a bit earlier. Choose lighter options in the evening. And if you still feel a need for something, let it be something soft, calming, a warm cup of herbal tea or a piece of fruit. Small changes create surprising peace. Many people who used to wake groggy begin to feel clear again. They sleep more deeply, breathe easier, and move more freely through their mornings. Because when the night is allowed to do what it was meant, for rest, repair, reset, your entire system responds with gratitude. You don't need to eat less, just eat earlier. Let your body work during the day and rest at night. That's not a restriction. It's restoration. And over time, it becomes a gentle promise to your future self. I'm still listening. I still care. Habit 7. Overconsumption of sugar. You might not think it matters much. A spoonful in your morning. Coffee. A small cookie after lunch. A piece of pie when the afternoon feels long. It seems innocent enough, and you may not even notice how often it happens. But this pattern is more common than we realize. Sugar slips into our days quietly, wrapped in comfort and routine. You can find it in cereals, sauces, crackers, and even so-called healthy snacks. For many older adults, it becomes a background habit that feels harmless, but slowly builds a toll the body can no longer ignore. Patricia, 68, used to rely on sugar to lift her mood. She called it her little joy. But she began to notice her energy dipped more often. Her joints ached in ways they hadn't before. Her sleep felt light, interrupted, and her doctor's words were gentle but clear. After 60, sugar doesn't leave the body the way it used to. Excess sugar creates chronic inflammation. It disturbs blood sugar balance, burdens the liver, and contributes to brain fog and memory decline. Some studies now even link high sugar intake to increased risks of dementia. But perhaps the hardest part isn't what sugar does. It's how quietly it becomes something we lean on without thinking. After a while, it feels like a reward, a comfort, even a need. And yet many people discover that once they begin reducing it, they don't feel deprived. They feel relieved. The fog lifts, energy steadies, sleep deepens, and clarity returns. The shift doesn't require giving up sweetness entirely. It's about choosing it with care. You might start by reading labels. You might replace packaged sweets with fresh fruit. You might pause before reaching for that second piece and ask yourself gently, is this what I truly need right now? You'll be surprised how often your body says no and how grateful it feels afterward. Aging well isn't about perfection. It's about noticing. Sugar will always be part of life, but it doesn't have to be part of every moment. The longer you live, the more you realize that feeling light, clear, and strong matters more than temporary taste. So perhaps today you choose less, not to punish yourself, but to return to the steady energy your body has always wanted to give. Because sweetness is best when it's savored, not depended on, and your body knows the difference. Habit 8. Staying in toxic environments. You may not realize how much it affects you. A home that feels tense, a conversation that leaves you drained, a relationship that walks on eggshells more than it walks in kindness. This happens more often than we like to admit, and sometimes we stay, not because it's peaceful but because it's familiar. You might tell yourself it's just a rough season, or that you've lived with this energy for so long it no longer bothers you. But your body keeps the score, even when your mind tries to adapt. George, 71, lived in the same house for over 4 decades. After his wife passed, one of his sons moved back in. The house grew colder, not in temperature but in tone. George found himself quieter, smaller. His chest would tighten after meals. He slept less, laughed less. Eventually, during a checkup, his doctor noticed his blood pressure had spiked. When asked what had changed, George didn't mention diet or exercise. He paused, then said softly, "The energy in my house isn't mine anymore." Toxic environments aren't always loud or violent. Sometimes they're made of subtle criticism, emotional withdrawal, or the feeling of walking into a room and wanting to walk right back out. Over time, this tension becomes chronic stress. It raises cortisol levels, disrupts digestion, weakens the immune system, and accelerates fatigue. It makes you more vulnerable to anxiety, depression, and heart problems. But after 60, something else begins to shift. You start choosing differently, not out of rebellion, but out of wisdom. You realize that you don't have to stay where peace has stopped visiting. You start asking softer, truer questions. Does this space support my healing? Does this conversation bring me closer to myself or push me further away? And from those questions you begin to move, not always physically but emotionally. You set new boundaries. You limit time with certain people. You rearrange your home to reflect who you are now, not who you had to be. It's not about cutting people off. It's about choosing lightness over weight, presence over tension. Many older adults who remain healthy do so not just through habits of the body, but through habits of the heart. They protect their peace with quiet courage. Because in the end, it's not just what we eat or how we move that determines our longevity, it's also where we choose to stay. And sometimes the greatest act of health is simply deciding, I want to feel safe in my own space again. Habit 9. Suppressing emotions. You can be smiling on the outside and still carrying storms within. You might brush off a sharp word, hide a tear before it falls, or tell yourself, it's nothing, I'm fine. You may not see it as a habit, but you'd be surprised how often this happens. And more often than not, we don't even realize how long we've been doing it. You can go years without raising your voice, without naming your grief, without letting anyone know how much something hurt. But your body remembers. Evelyn, 66, once told me she hadn't cried in over 20 years, not when she lost her mother. Not when her marriage quietly ended. She kept everything tucked in, because that's what strong women did in her time. But her body began to ache in ways she couldn't explain. Her doctor ruled out obvious causes, then gently asked her, have you been holding anything in? That one question opened something she didn't know had been locked for decades. Suppressed emotions aren't invisible. They show up as tightness in the chest, knots in the stomach, sleepless nights, and chronic fatigue. When you never express your hurt, your body does it for you. You stay in a state of low-grade stress, which over time strains the nervous system, disrupts digestion, and even weakens immunity. But at some point, often after 60, you start craving something deeper than strength. You crave honesty. You want to feel again, not just function. You want to be able to say, this still hurts, or I'm not okay, without shame. And that quiet awareness becomes the beginning of healing. You don't have to explode. You don't have to explain everything. You can start by writing down what you feel. You can share a memory with a friend. You can give yourself permission to feel something fully, even if no one else sees it. Emotions are not problems to fix. They are signals asking to be felt. People who age peacefully often find ways to release rather than suppress. They cry when they need to. They forgive when they're ready. They stop pretending they're unaffected. Because freedom doesn't always look like boldness. Sometimes it looks like softness. And that softness, allowed in slowly, is where true resilience begins. Let your feelings move through you. Let your breath guide them out. Because what you release, you no longer have to carry. Habit 10. Rushing through meals. You might not think twice about it. Eating while standing by the counter, finishing lunch in front of the TV, swallowing bites without really tasting them. You may not even realize how fast it's happening, but this happens more often than you think. And for many people, especially as they age, meals shift from moments of care to tasks that just need to be done. Harold, 73, used to eat in under 10 minutes. Breakfast was rushed. Dinner was something to get through so he could move on to the next thing, even if that thing was just sitting alone. One day, after a minor digestive scare, his doctor gently suggested slowing down at mealtimes, not because of what he was eating, but how. Digestive issues, bloating, and nutrient loss often stem not just from poor food choices, but from how quickly we move through the act of eating. When we rush meals, We don't chew enough. We don't breathe between bites. The nervous system stays on edge, and the gut has no time to prepare for what's coming. Over time, this habit contributes to indigestion, weight gain, acid reflux, and even emotional detachment from our own body's signals. But after 60, something inside begins to shift. Not just physically, but spiritually. You start craving presence. You no longer want to rush through what's meant to nourish you. You begin to sense that food is more than fuel. It's a rhythm, a ritual, a way to be kind to yourself again. So you sit down. You place your fork down between bites. You listen. For the flavor, not just the fullness, these small changes begin to create calm. Your digestion eases. Your hunger finds balance. Your mood feels steadier. And beyond the physical changes, you begin to feel more rooted in your day, more connected to your own pace. People who age with grace often return to the table, not just to eat, but to experience. They find joy in slow breakfasts, in quiet dinners without distraction, in the simple act of honoring the body with patience. You don't need to change your diet completely. Sometimes you only need to change how you show up at your plate. So perhaps today, allow your next meal to be slower. Let it breathe. Let it remind you that living longer isn't always about doing more. It's often about doing less, with more care. Growing older doesn't mean you need to do more. Sometimes the secret to living longer is doing less. Less rushing, less worrying, less holding in what needs to be released. Each of these small, quiet changes can add years to your life and more peace to the years you already have. You don't need perfection. You only need presence. If any of these habits felt familiar, know that you're not alone. Many older adults across the world are starting to realize the quiet power of slowing down and choosing gently. And now it's your turn. If this video reminded you of something from your own life, we'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Even just a simple sentence. What habit are you ready to release? Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content made with care, just for you. Because the path to longevity isn't always about adding more. Sometimes it begins by subtracting what no longer serves you.